and welcome to the March edition of Book Birthday Party. So if you've watched our videos for a little while, you will know that every month since the beginning of the year, we decided to host a book birthday party celebrating all of the books that are being released in the next month, talking about them based off of when their release date is, and just showcasing a bunch of different titles that are coming out that we're interested in, whether because we know that we like books by that author, or because a lot of people are talking about it, or because the covers are really eye-catching. So we have a lot of books for you today. I'm not quite sure how many. I've got a feeling it's over 60. I'll put how many it is up in the title when we've finished it all off, because I did get quite excited gathering some of these together. So, without further ado, let's showcase some of these birthdays and celebrate some new books being released. So on the 1st of March, we have The Deadly Mystery of the Missing Diamonds by T.E. Kinsey. I've literally just included this one because I love that title, and I think it's such a good title. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this one's about. We also have The Wedding Game by Megan Quinn. On the 2nd of March, we have Accidentally Engaged by Farrah Heron. I featured this in a blog post I did recently about adult romances that I'm looking forward to reading this year. Sounds like it's going to be a very cute one. There's baking and falling in love with your neighbour and parental expectations, and all of those things sound really interesting when you add them together. We also have Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. This is the 3rd book in the City of Ghosts series following Cassidy Blake. This one was meant to come out in September and it's only coming out in March, and I'm so glad that it's finally going to be here because I had this pre-ordered for the longest time. We then have The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Robinkowski. This is the 1st book in a duology and it's also Jessica's debut novel. We have The Castle School for Troubled Girls by Alyssa B. Scheinmull. Again, amazing cover on this one. Definitely looking forward to seeing what this is about. Of course, one of the biggest releases of this entire month, we've got Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is the 2nd book in the Last Hour series and the direct sequel to Chain of Gold. We have Covert by Tracy Wolfe, which is the 3rd book in the Crave series. We have Alison Saft's debut, Down Comes the Night. We have Alex Finley's debut, Every Last Fear. Again, really cool cover for this one. Definitely looking forward to picking that up. We have Infinity Reaper by Adam Silvera, which is the sequel to Infinity's Son. We have Clara and the Sun by Kazu Ishiguro. We have Later by Stephen King. The Last Apothecary by Sarah Penner. Once Upon a Quinceañera by Monica Gomez Hira. Phoenix Flame by Sarah Holland, which is the sequel to Havenfall. The Queen's Secret by Melissa De La Cruz, which is the sequel to The Queen's Assassin. Red Tigress by Amelia Wenzhou, which is the sequel to Blood Heir. Another one that I've got pre-ordered and I'm really looking forward to picking up. And I have got a copy on NetGalley, so I'm probably going to start reading it within the next couple of days because I'm so excited for this one. We also have The Stolen Kingdom by Gillian Boehm. And Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi, which is Mary H.K. Choi's 3rd novel and another one of my most anticipated releases of this year. On the 4th of March, we have A Trial of Sorcerers by Elise Kova. This is another series starter. The Infinity Files by S.M. Wilson, which is the 1st book by S.M. Wilson, which isn't part of the Extinction Trials series. Shipwreck Island by Strand Murray, which is the sequel to Orphans of the Tide. The World Between Us by Sarah Ann Jacks. Willow Moss and the Vanished Kingdom by Dominique Valente. This is the 3rd book in the Willow Moss series. And then we have 5 books that are being published by Stripes, so I'll pop these all together. We have Mort the Meek and the Raven's Revenge by Rachel Delahaye and George Ermos. This is the 1st book in a series. The Sleepover Mystery by Holly Webb and Sarah Lodge, which is another book in the Museum Kittens series. Bees by David Roberts and Alan MacDonald, which is the 33rd Dirty Bertie book. Wow, there's a lot of those. The Long Way Home by Karine Avarice and Christina Lytton. And Climate Action by Georgina Stevens and Katie Rouse. On the 9th of March, we have Actor Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, which is the 3rd book in the Brown Sisters series. The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst, which is a high fantasy standalone. Looks really interesting. Everything Out by Jill Santopolo. The Girls Are Also Nice Here by Laurie Elizabeth Flynn. As far as I'm aware, this is Laurie's adult debut. So she wrote Firsts, one of my favourite debuts of all time, and then this is an older novel. I'm not sure if it is the older end of YA or if it is an adult debut, but again, sounds like it's going to be amazing. I've been looking forward to this one for so long. Heartbreak Bay by Rachel Kane, which is the 5th book in the Stillhouse Lake series, and as far as I'm aware will be the last one, as Rachel Kane did pass away at the end of October last year. Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez, another one of my most anticipated releases of 2021 and Sophie Gonzalez's 2nd novel. The Queen's Weapons by Anne Bishop, which is the 15th book in the Black Jewels series. Ravage the Dark by Tara Sim, which is the sequel to Scavenge the Stars. The Rose Code by Kate Quinn, which is an historical novel and seems to be really, really hyped at the moment. Sing Me Forgotten, which is Jessica Else Olsen's debut. Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrian Tooley, and Tell Me My Name by Amy Reed. On the 11th of March, I could only find one book, and that's The Cost of Knowing by Brittany Morris. Brittany Morris was the author of Slay, and this sounds like it's going to be just as impactful and just as good. On the 15th of March, we could also only find one book, and that was The Descent of the Drowning by Anna Lal Din. This is another debut novel and also the first book in a series. On the 16th of March, we have The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai. Delicates by Brenna Thumler, which is a graphic novel and is the sequel to Sheets. I just love the covers for these. I haven't read either of them, but I love ghosts, and ghosts with laundry sounds like a fun concept. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but I want to know. We have 5 Ways to Fall Out of Love by Emily Martin. The Last Secret You'll Ever Keep by Laurie Farrier Stolars. This is the sequel to Jane Anonymous. The Mirror Season by Anne-Marie McLemore. Namesake by Adrian Young, which is the sequel to Fable. And Our Last Echoes by Kate Alice Marshall. I'm not sure if this one is an adult thriller or a YA thriller, because Kate Alice Marshall wrote Rules for Vanishing and that was YA, but the cover looks really adult. But I'm definitely interested in picking this one up, even though I didn't love Rules for Vanishing. On the 18th of March, we have Shadow in the Glass by J.J.A. Harwood, which is a fairy tale retelling. Weave Through the Stars by Hafsa Faisal, which is the sequel to We Hunt the Flame and is the second book in the Sands of Araria duology. And we also have The Whispers by Heidi Perks. On the 23rd of March, we have Bruised by Tanya Pateju. I could have sworn this was released last year because I saw so many people raving about this cover. I think it's roller derby, and it looks like it's such a gorgeous cover and it really sticks in my mind, which is why I was sure this had already been released, but apparently it's coming out this month. Who knew? We also have Every Vow You Break by Peter Swanson, Kate Doherty's debut The Follower, Girls with Rebel Souls by Suzanne Young, which is the third book in the Girls with Sharp Sticks series. The Theft of Sunlight by Intisar Kananani, which is the sequel to Thorn and is the second book in the Dauntless Path series. And The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke, which is the first book in the Magic of the Lost series. And a little bird tells me that this one might be popping up in a certain book box in March, and if it does, I am going to be over the moon because this one sounds very interesting. Then on the 30th of March, we have Bone Crier's Dawn by Catherine Purdy, which is the sequel to Bone Crier's Moon. Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, which is another book in the Grishaverse series and is the direct sequel to King of Scars. She's Too Pretty to Burn by Wendy Hurd, another one that I've seen this cover absolutely everywhere, and I didn't really know much about it, but I'm really looking forward to picking it up just because of the hype that it's receiving. And With You All the Way by Cynthia Hand. And then on the last day of March, on the 31st, we could only find one book, and that was The Perfect Nanny by Karen Clark and Amanda Brittney. And there you go. That is all of the books that we could find that were releasing in March. If we have missed any, then please let us know. A lot of release dates seem to be shifting quite rapidly, so there were some books that we found that had March release dates, and then when we looked a bit further into them, they were coming out in like June or July, so we might have missed some if there's been a mix-up there, or if the UK publication date has been changed and the US one hasn't, or vice versa. So if there are any March releases that you are really, really excited about and you want to share the love for that we have missed, please leave a comment down below and spread the joy for these books and their release dates. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found at least one book to be interested in out of all of these, because it feels like every time we do this, I'm like, oh, I'll just do YA. I'll just do YA in middle grade. I'll just do YA, middle grade, and fantasy. And I'm like, but romances, that there's so many cute romances coming out this season. And it's probably because it's quite close to Valentine's Day, and like spring always makes me feel really lovey-dovey. But there were just so many books that I couldn't resist putting them all on this list. And there was still like a couple more that I could have put on, but I wasn't sure with the release date, with the shifting, or if it was a re-release, because I thought it had come out earlier. So we settled with these ones. But yes, if there are any more that you would like to celebrate, please let us know. We post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, so make sure to pop back within the next couple of days to see our next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye! The Queen's Assassin